Hello and welcome to another 23 chairs video. In this video I am going to be renovating 6 chairs. These are part of a commission. There's a total of 11 chairs and they're all going to be renovated in a coordinating style so they can be mixed and matched. The first 3 chairs are the same, they're all this style, and these ones need painting and need reupholstering. So starting with the reupholstery, I'm just going to strip them off to start with. The owner of these chairs had reupholstered them fairly recently, so I'm not going to take them back any further than that calico layer, just the outer material coming off. And then to give them a kind of nice, comfy, bouncy and new look, I'm going to pop a couple of layers of wadding over the top before I put the fabric on. And if you're thinking at this point, that's an awful lot of layers of wadding, I'm actually cutting all 6 pieces for all 3 chairs at the moment while I've got a nice template cut out. And here's the first fabric going on. So each of these chairs is going to be painted in a different colour and they're all going to have a different fabric. They're all coordinating and they can actually be interchanged. So you've got the option if you ever want to change it up a bit. Now it was at this point that I took another look at it and realised suddenly that this fabric actually has a correct way up, and that is not it. So when I finished my little tantrum, I thought I'll do a different fabric, so here's the second one. I do love this print, so bold, and it really ties the colours of all the different chairs together as well, as you'll see later. And now for the third one. So now I need to go back to seat number 1 and just unpick that. Luckily I hadn't got too far with the staples, and I do just have enough fabric to turn it round and redo it the other way round. That's much better. So now I'm going to make a start with the actual chair frames. Just starting off with a little sand, a little rub down, any loose varnish, any nicks, any dents, just smooth them out, ready for painting. And now just washing them down, so getting rid of any dirt on the surface or any grease, anything that's going to cause the paint not to stick well, and also getting rid of all that dust from the sanding. So these chairs are going to be spray painted, so the first thing I have to do before I can paint is dilute the paint to a consistency that will go through the spray gun. So spraying the first colour on now. This was actually the first thing I painted after I got the compressor, so we're both just now having a bit of a play and tinkering with the settings and getting it exactly how we want it. Second colour going on now, so this one is kind of a deep muted pink. It's a really lovely colour. And the last one of the three is this really nice flat silvery grey colour. And here is that chair finished. So unfortunately I only have video of one of the chairs finished because the other two have already gone to their new home. But if you check out my Instagram, you'll be able to see the other chairs and the mix and match cushions. So now on to the next three. These three, the chairs aren't being painted, they're just being left as they are. The wood's in good condition, it still looks good. So these just need new seat pads. So the material that was used on these seat pads was quite dry and brittle, and it sort of flaked away as I was trying to take it off in a lot of cases. So just a case of carefully going around and picking the little bits off and trying to peel it back as carefully as possible to avoid ripping it, just to get it off in as big chunks as possible. Now underneath the fabric and then that old-fashioned wadding is a layer of hessian, and then hessian straps which crisscross and go across, and that's what gives you the tension and like the sprung feel to the chair. So that all needs to come off. You probably saw earlier the hessian straps are so saggy, they're not giving you any support there at all. Of the three, also this one didn't have the hessian underneath at all, it just had a board. Now I don't know if that's original or if that had been added, because as you see when I strip it back, this seat, the frame itself is very, very rotten in one place, so it's going to need some pretty serious repair. And also there's a big knot in one of the bars and that's cracked across it. So at this point I decided not to go any further with stripping it down and actually leave the fabric there to support it while I get on with other jobs. So now I'm on to my least favourite part of any reupholstering, hence why I've called in some support for this one, which is the removing of old tacks and staples. So now I'm going to start building those layers back up again, and I'm going to start with the hessian webbing. Just measuring out the first one to make sure it's in the middle, and then the others can be done by eye from there. And the important part on this step is getting those straps nice and tight so that they provide plenty of support for the rest of the seat and obviously the person sitting on it. So unlike what you'll have seen me do in previous projects, I'm not going to staple these in place. I'm actually going to hammer upholstery tacks in to hold them tight, just replicating like for like what was there and what I've taken away. I'm not going to do a completely faithful restoration of the original because I think modern materials can probably do a better job in some cases here, but I do think this strapping is lovely. I think it actually looks really good, and it's really the right thing for the job in this case. That does just mean an awful lot of hammering nails in. And 300 pins later, I can start adding the next stage, which is a memory foam pad. And while I'm busy doing that, the third seat frame is getting repaired. So as you can see, one of the pieces had to be taken out completely. That's rotten through. It's rotten around the pins as well, so there's nothing really to secure it to anymore. Now it's getting glued back together and clamped in place, and you can actually see here that that other rail has completely split across the knot, but not affecting the area around the joint this time. So this one can just be braced across there and repaired in that way, which you'll see in a minute. So just routing out around that break to make a recess to put a supporting piece of wood in. And then tidying up that hole, just making those edges a little crisper, making the surface nice and flat before the new piece is sized up. And then that's cut to size. And that's just glued and clamped in place, and that'll be left to dry for a while. So getting back to upholstering the non-broken seat pads, back to the memory foam again, just getting that to shape, and then a bit of wadding over the top of that. And on this one, I'm just going to trim those excess pieces around the corner. I haven't got the chair frames for this, so I'm just trying to replicate the original seat pads as much as possible in terms of how much kind of overlap there was in various areas and how much bulge there was, just to make sure that these fit back into their seats when they go home. And now I'm just going to check about 20 times that the fabric is the right way up, because I don't want a pairs fabric incident again. So also really trying to get those trees lined up. So now I'm just trimming around the edge. I'm actually not going to cover the underside of these because I love the look of that Hessian strapping. So I'm just trimming really neatly around the edge to kind of line up with the edge of the boards to leave as much of that showing and leave it looking as finished as possible. And there is the finished article, and here it is with the other two, all fully reupholstered and ready to go off to their new home. So if you would like to commission me to restore or rejuvenate a piece of furniture for you, it might get featured in your YouTube video too. You can either contact me by following the links in the description, or you can follow me on Instagram at 23 chairs. And pieces that I'm designing and selling myself are also available on my Etsy shop. Once again, thanks for watching.